is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
Welcome in to more Main Street Sports Today. Just said it. That's no problem. Main Street Sports Today presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Chris Yao alongside Mo Patton, and it is Reaction Monday, my friends. Reaction Monday, as we have a lot to react to. And boy, was it a crazy weekend, from high school football to pro sports to everything in between. Mo, we got a lot going on. But first, how are you?
I'm all right for a Monday.
I hear you. Same thing. Same thing here. It is what it is when you're talking about Mondays. You just got to do what you got to do, right?
Just try to get through it. Put your head down and get through it, man. It's like there may not be a hole there, but we're just going to punch it up in there and get what we can get.
Exactly. Well, we've got a lot to get into, and our rundown is huge, so we might as well just go ahead and kick it right off.
The Monday Rundown is brought to you by Zion Christian Academy. ZCA offers a faith-based, Christ-centered education in Murray County. Give them a call today at 931-388-5831 or visit zioneagles.org to schedule your appointment today. Zion Christian Academy, prepared for college, equipped for purpose.
All right, in Friday football action, it was Lebanon 49, Antioch 14, Nolensville 38, BGA 14, Brentwood 23, Blackman 14. Eagles Landing Georgia down Brentwood Academy, edging them 50-49. It was McGavock 26, Clarksville 21, CPA 42-24 over Independence, and Middle Tennessee Christian, the 19-7 winner over DCA.
Creekwood in overtime defeats Dixon County 13-7. It was Mount Pleasant 30, East Hickman 2. East Nashville with a 32-20 win over Father Ryan. It was Macon County defeating East Robertson 43-33. Ensworth with a 44-0 win over Evangelical Christian. Columbia Academy goes to Ezell Harding and wins 41-6. And Clarksville Academy defeated First Assembly Christian out of Memphis 38-6.
It was Page blanking Fairview in the Battle of 840, 19-0. Farragut a 31-28 winner over Beach. It was Forest 55, Eagleville 24. Riverdale 14-10 over Franklin. It was Franklin Road Academy 29, Nashville Christian 24. Big win there. And Spring Hill went up to Greenwood, Kentucky, and fell to Franklin Simpson in the first game of a doubleheader up there, 31-14.
Gallatin with a 27-18 win over Mount Juliet. It was Cheatham County 19. 28, Joe Burns 14, Pope John Paul II or Pope Prep 34, Hillsborough 14, and in the Battle of the Woods, it was Ken 44, Hill 7.
Grace Christian of Franklin down Humboldt 46-8. It was 38-28 Centennial over Jonna Overton. Liberty Creek a 35-6 winner over Jackson Central Mary. It was Loretto 49, Collinwood 25. Hunters Lane down Maplewood 21-12. Marshall County got the best of Columbia Central 41-20. It was Lipscomb Academy 17, Milton Georgia 7, and Lookout Valley a 28-6 winner over Mount Juliet Christian.
Providence Christian defeated Lancaster Christian 40-26. It was Montgomery Bell Academy defeating Ravenwood 46-20. Rockvale with a 44-12 win over Laverne. Siegel snuck up on Green Hill and got a 13-6 victory. Smyrna defeats Stewart's Creek 35-14. Station Camp 20. Whites Creek. Lawrence County down Summertown 50-7, and it was Henry County 30, Summit 7 at Centennial.
Montgomery Central a 22-13 winner over Sycamore. Friendship Christian down Trousdale East Kentucky 41, White House Heritage 7, Fayetteville down Watertown 36-12, Clarksville North to East, and I guess they suspended that game 30-16 over West Creek. It was Westmoreland 14, Portland 13, Rossview 16-14 over Wilson Central, and the Freedom Cowboys a 34-8 winner over Zion Christian.
In volleyball action on Friday, Columbia Central defeated Mount Pleasant 2-1 and East Hickman 2-0. It was Hampshire 3, Culleoka 1. Dorman of South Carolina defeated Ensworth 2-0. Ensworth defeated George Walton of Georgia 2-0. It was Sacred Heart of Kentucky over Father Ryan 2-0, and Father Ryan with a 2-0 win over Brentwood. Maryville defeated.
Didn't see that coming.
Also, Lipscomb Academy defeated CAK 2-1. Loretto with a 2-1 win over Knoxville Webb and 2-1 over Gibbs. Collinwood blanked Mount Pleasant 2-0. It was Frederick Douglass of Kentucky 2, Nolensville 0. Nolensville with a 2-0 victory over Louisville Male. Page defeated William Blunt 2-0 and Ravenwood 2, Signal Mountain 0.
They also beat Carnes 2-0, did Ravenwood. It was Heritage 2, Riverdale 0, Rockville 2-0 over Stone Memorial. West over Rockville, Siegel over Knoxville Halls and CAK. Summit blanked Stewart's Creek and South Doyle 2-0. It was St. George's 2, Watertown 1, Sullivan East a 2-0 winner over White House Heritage, and East Hickman down Zion Christian 2-0.
In girls soccer on Friday, it was Baylor 6, Beach 0. Beach Dearden with a 4-0 win over Father Ryan. It was Oakland 3, Greenville 0, and Lincoln County with an 8-0 win over Providence Christian.
Merle Hyde a 3-1 win over Murray, Kentucky. Hutchinson School defeated Murfreesboro Central Magnet 1-0. Powell 1, Pope John Paul 0, Frederick Douglass Kentucky 1, Rockville 0. Nolensville 2-1 winners over Station Camp and Tullahoma 5, Columbia Central 0.
In Saturday volleyball action, it was White House Heritage 2, Alcoa 1, Brentwood with a 2-1 win over Ravenwood. Cleveland blanked Brentwood 2-0. Also White House Heritage blanked Carter 2-0. Columbia Academy with a 2-1 win over Columbia Central. Also Columbia Academy defeated Hampshire 2-0 and Lewis County 2-0. Page also down Cookville 2-0.
Also with 2-0 scores, it was Summertown over Crockett County, Middle Tennessee Christian over Crockett County as well, Summertown over Eagleville. It was Ensworth, Alabama 1, Nolensville 2-0 over Ensworth, Sequoia, Georgia 2-0 over Father Ryan, and Father Ryan fell to Mercy Academy in Kentucky, also 2-0.
Also 2-0, Franklin over Upperman and Franklin over Bethlehem of Kentucky, and George Walton of Georgia over Summit, all 2-0 scores. 2-1, Grace Christian of Knoxville over University School of Nashville, and Grace Christian of Knoxville over Eagleville. 2-0 decisions, Summertown over Grace Christian of Knoxville, Hampshire over McEwen, Nolensville over Heritage, and Lipscomb Academy over Knoxville Halls.
Also 2-0 was Franklin over Lipscomb. It was North Point Christian 2-0 over Loretto. Soddy Daisy down Loretto 2-1. Middle Tennessee Christian 2. Grace Knoxville 0. Mount Pleasant 2-0 winners over Lewis County, East Hickman, and Zion Christian. And then Trinity Christian was a 2-0 winner over Murfreesboro Central Magnet.
Murfreesboro Central also with the 2-1 win over Harding Academy. Summertown defeated Murfreesboro Central 2-0. Notre Dame defeated Murfreesboro Central 2-0. Providence Christian with a 2-0 win over Murfreesboro Central. And Coffee County with a 2-0 win over Murfreesboro Central. Tough day for Murfreesboro Central. Knoxville Catholic with a 2-1 win over Nolensville. Nolensville bounced back to defeat Frederick Douglass of Kentucky 2-1 and Mercy Academy of Kentucky 2-0.
Cleveland 2-1 over Nolensville. Oakland winners over McGavick, Portland, Hume-Fogg, and Portland again 2-0, and then a winner over Valor Collegiate 2-1. Page defeated Seymour 2-0, Maryville 2-1, and fell to Louisville Male 2-0.
Ravenwood with a 2-0 win over Concord Christian, that was 2-1. 2-0 over Hardin Valley. Riverdale with a 2-0 win over Sullivan East and over White House Heritage. Silverdale downs Riverdale 2-0. Hardin Valley with a 2-0 win over Rockville. Rockville comes back with 2-0 wins over Bethlehem, CAK, and Concord Christian.
Sail Creek 2-1 over Rockville. East Hickman 2-0 over Santa Fe. Siegel 2, Lipscomb Academy 1. Summit 2-0 over Siegel. Maryville 2-0 over Siegel. Franklin 2-1 over Silverdale Academy. It was Westwidge 2, Stewart's Creek 0. Stewart's Creek bounced back with a 2-0 win over South Doyle, but then fell to Seymour 2-0. Summertown defeated Middle Tennessee Christian 2-0.
2-0 Summit over West Ridge. Watertown 2-1 over Bradley Central. 2-0 over Alcoa. Silverdale 2-0 over Watertown. Franklin 2-0 over West. White House Heritage with a 2-1 win over Upperman. Zion Christian down Santa Fe 2-0 and Lewis County 2-1.
And girls soccer action, Merle Hyde 8, Anderson County 2, Bearden 3, Brentwood 0, Chattanooga Christian 1, Mount Juliet 0, Fort Campbell, Kentucky 3-1 over Northeast, Clarksville Northeast 9-1 over Kenwood, Concord Christian 9-0 over East Robertson, Cookville 2-0 over Providence Christian, Harpeth Hall 4-0 winners over Sayre, Kentucky, and is it Sire or Sayre? It's Sayre where I'm from, so I know no idea. Anyway, Farragut and Hendersonville tied at 1.
Ensworth with the 1-0 win over Independence. Livingston Academy blanks East Robertson 6-0. It was Oakland 2, Pope Prep 0. Also Oakland 3, Powell 1. Houston and Ravenwood to a scoreless deadlock, as did Clarksville and Ravenwood. Ravenwood playing some pretty good defense. Simon Kenton of Kentucky with a 5-0 win over Rockvale. It was Rossview 11, Chattanooga School for the Arts and Sciences 3, and Stewart's Creek 3, Seymour 0.
Girls soccer action on Sunday. Stewart's Creek 2, Boyd Buchanan 0. Girls Prep School 2, Father Ryan 2. 0-0 Ty Hutchinson School in Franklin. It was Franklin County 5, Rockville 3, Pope Prep 2, Greenville 1, and Science Hill 2, Hendersonville 0.
Assumption of Kentucky with a 3-1 win over Independence. It was Knoxville Central 3, Mount Juliet 2. Merrill High with a 3-2 win over Davies County, Kentucky. Pigeon Forge 8, East Robertson 2, and Station Camp edges Ravenwood 2-1.
In pro baseball, we're almost done with the scores. Cubs 8, Brewers 7, Cubs 6, Brewers 5 in 11. It was the Brewers 5-2 over the Cubs in the finale. Pirates a 5-4 winner. Reds over the Reds. Reds took the last two 10-1 and 9-5.
Cardinals. Yeah, Cardinals in a series with the Diamondbacks. Swept 5-1, 16-7, and 6-4 on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The Atlanta Braves with a 6-2 win over the Astros on Friday, 5-4 and 11 on Saturday. Could not finish off the sweep as the Astros win 5-4 on Sunday.
Sounds win the series 6-5 over Jacksonville and 7-2, and then a 7-0 win over on Sunday.
Oh, it's not.
And fell in the finale 6-3. It was in MLS action, Nashville SC 4, Dallas 0.
Pleasant is at Zion Christian. Page is at Father Ryan at 5:15. Providence Christian is at Columbia Academy at 5:30, and Eagleville is at Community at 6.
Sycamore at Harpeth at 6, Summertown, Lawrence County also at 6. The rest of these at 6 here. Eagleville at Riverdale, Culleoka, Santa Fe, and Fairview at Spring Hill. At 6:30, Rossview will be at Stewart's Creek.
Girls soccer today at 5 o'clock. Hillwood is at Hillsboro. Also at 5 o'clock, Martin Luther King is at McGavock. At 5:30, Columbia Academy travels to Battleground Academy. Loretto hosts East Hickman. And at 6, Culleoka travels to Fayetteville.
White House Heritage at Hume Fogg at 6. Page at Lawrence County also at 6. At 6 is Spring Hill hosting Columbia Academy. And Upperman hosting Watertown. Columbia Central is at Giles County starting at 7 p.m.
In pro baseball action tonight, the Atlanta Braves go on the road, take on Pittsburgh at 6:05. Also at 6:05, Philadelphia hosts Cincinnati. At 7:05, the Cardinals are at Wrigley Field against the Cubs. And at 9:10 tonight, Milwaukee is at the Dodgers. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your rundown brought to you by Zion Christian Academy.
All right, we'll be right back right after this on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, so stick around. We'll be joined by Mark Reeves right after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back into Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao alongside Mo Patton, and we are glad to have you here on this Monday. We're going to jump right into it, Mo, as we have a very special guest with us. We have LSAA Director Mark Reeves with us. Mark, thanks for joining us.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Don't ask us that, Mark. There was a board of control meeting last week, and Chris managed to find the YouTube presentation of the classification process that was going to be discussed during that meeting a few days ahead of time. Obviously, it was not approved, I guess. But what was the conversation leading up to that classification scheme that the state office introduced, and how well or how badly was it received at last week's Board of Control meeting?
Yeah, so good question, Maurice. Like, conversation really started back in June as we discussed the new classification term and what did the association see as the best course moving forward. And the board asked us to bring to them some things that address some of the concerns that they had with the current four-class plan. Specifically some of the sizes of districts being smaller than normal. And then this is something that they didn't necessarily talk about in June, but it's been talked about over the years as the different divisions or districts that folks may find themselves in when you go across the board in sports, particularly those team sports. So I may be in one district playing, schools from this county in basketball, but I'm in a different district in this sport playing schools from these counties in this sport. So there's been some discussion over the years about maybe the desire to bring more normalcy or regularity to those districts and regions from sport to sport, particularly on those team sports side. On the individual sports side, it's much more difficult because of the variance of numbers that we have in sports. Won't take you into the weeds too deep with that. But what this plan does is it addresses both of those issues. And so it was developed, I guess you would say, at the 11th hour. The timing was not ideal for something that would be this major of a change. And I believe that's what the board, did as a result of their action. They were hesitant to move forward on something that would be this dramatically different without, first being able to vet this thoroughly, and then for the membership to vet it thoroughly. So that was the right decision. But it was what they did. They did see some promise to some of the concepts, and as a result, that was one of the triggers to a 2-year classification period as opposed to a 4. Because if there are some good concepts and some merit to go to some of the policies or some of the things that this plan would do, then why wait 4 more years to talk about it again? And so that was the background to what led to that decision.
Obviously, again, it coming up at the 11th hour like that, I kind of figured that could be the case. But as Chris and I were discussing it last week, and as you said, there are some pretty good concepts involved in that approach that you all brought forth. I think one of the things that people probably had issues with or will have issues with, Mark, is in basketball, you're going to bring a different number of teams to the state tournament depending on what classification you're in. And as I told Chris, I find it a little tough to think that genie's going back in the bottle. But to his point, to get some of what you want, you've got to give up some of what you want probably. And I think that is kind of a consequence of getting some stable districts from one sport to the next and that kind of thing. I mean, you have to feel good about a lot of the stuff that y'all were able to bring forth with that, even at the 11th hour.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we knew going in that would certainly be one that people would want to take a closer look at, that being such a big change. And certainly over the next couple of years, you're going to have plenty of opportunities to discuss what that postseason format could look like if you wanted to go that direction. If you wanted to go to that Final Four concept, we use the Final Four concept when we're thinking in terms of ratios of teams. When you're looking at the ratio of teams that will qualify for the state competitions, you keep similar ratios when you take it down to 4 teams as opposed to 8 at the central site, because you're decreasing the number of schools in each of those classifications. But that's not how it has to be done. That's certainly what we would recommend, just protecting the integrity of the competition in maintaining those ratios. But there's also some unanswered questions in terms of what that postseason tournament format would look like. The plan that we presented, starts at the district level, but do you eliminate districts or do you keep districts? You got some terminology that could be tweaked, and how your sectionals come together could be done a couple of different ways. And so all of that would have to be hashed out. And, Monday's meeting was not the place to do that. That was that kind of work you would normally see in a board work session, where we're doing nothing but hashing through some of these details that would have to be ironed out before you approve any plan. So that's what we look to do here in the next couple of years at our June board meetings.
Speaking with Mark Reeves, the TSSAA. Mark, you hit on the nail there. Just the ratio of teams makes so much sense. You can't have 8 if you only have 60 teams in the classification. If you look to our neighbors to the south, Alabama, in Class 7A, they only have 64 teams, so they only take 32 to the playoffs or whatever it is, and it makes a whole lot more sense to me to keep those classifications closer together in enrollment, just like you guys had them. I mean, I know it's a drastic change and I know it's a lot all at once, but to me, I think you guys did a pretty good job putting this together. And if I were on the board, I would have voted for it. Let's put it that way.
Well, like I said, there's some great concepts, and it addresses a few of the issues that have been brought up. You mentioned disparity in enrollment. I don't think I did when I first started talking in this session, but that's been one that probably comes up as much as anything. And this plan does address that to some degree, where the smallest school in a particular class compared to the largest school in a particular class, those are closer together. But again, it's all about what you value more, and what does the membership place more value on? Do you place more value on that condensing of enrollment, or do you place more value in having the same number of teams in each class? Everybody's probably got an opinion on that, but it's the opinions of the association and the membership that should drive the decisions of that board, to which they have not been privy to those opinions yet. And or they haven't had enough time to really gather that information. That's part of what our role will be moving forward, is to survey our membership and to get them some more concrete data as to what the schools value, so that they can make an informed decision the next time this comes up.
I think one of the things that we talk about here is when you, and specifically talking about, an 8-team tournament, state tournament in a week, it makes it difficult for a Class 1A baseball team to have enough pitchers to get through that tournament, even if it is 2-4 tournaments and the way it's set up. But is that something, not just that particularly, but the travel for the athletes? I mean, you look at the world of college sports now with the Big Ten and the Pac-12 and USC and all the travel that goes into it. Is that part of what you guys are trying to fix with, making these districts a little bit smaller so that these kids aren't out until 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, traveling on the roads?
Well, it certainly is. We want to be able to do anything that we can to improve the regular season, not just the postseason. I think the regular season sometimes gets lost in these discussions because it doesn't bring with it probably as much emotion or strong opinions. But for the average school and the kid that's out there that's just playing a sport because they love to play, what are some things that we can do for that kid who's never going to make the state tournament that makes their experience better? And I think if we can do some things that address some of those, extreme travel issues, those are things that we need to take a look at, because that's important. We want that regular season experience to be positive, and decreasing travel can certainly help with that, regular season and postseason for that matter.
Mark, I didn't take a good hard look at the agenda, but not sure if you all discussed girls flag football any further at this Board of Control meeting or not, but obviously it was something that Williamson County kind of piloted with the Tennessee Titans this past spring. Metro Nashville is going to have it this spring. I hear that Clarksville Montgomery County is considering it as well. What is the conversation statewide with regard to girls flag football right now?
Well, most of the conversation that we've heard have been from those 3 school systems that you mentioned, although we have had a couple of inquiries, over the course of the last few months from some other places across the state that are interested in getting things going, on their end. But just like anything, in order to make it happen in a particular area, you've got to have enough schools in your area to be able to have contests. And these 3 school systems that you mentioned have really worked to try to make that framework or that happen. So our role, we see, is helping folks connect with those individuals who have been able to pull it off. We do think that there's probably a lot more interest in it than what we actually hear from. And so anything that we can do to help facilitate others in creating these kind of competitions, that's what we see our role. And certainly, when you look at other states that have explored girls flag football, the growth has happened very quickly. Once it started, it has really snowballed. We hope that we find that is the case here in Tennessee, just because it's another opportunity for kids, and one that is accessible to so many. It's pretty cheap. It's inexpensive. There aren't a whole lot of participation barriers to that. Once you can find somebody that's able and willing to coach, and you got a little space to practice, then it can pretty much be done.
TSSAA Executive Director Mark Reeves here with us on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mo, do you have anything else before we let him go?
No, I think we can let him go, but I certainly appreciate Mark Reeves taking some time with us here on a Monday afternoon, the second week of high school fall sports. I know he's got a lot going on. So, Mark, how what office is that you're in? Is that the same office that you were in 2 months ago, or is that a different office?
I've moved down the hall just a little bit. This is I still think of it as Bernard's office. I keep walking back to my office. I've walked into this building and gone to the wrong office. I'm embarrassed to tell you how many times I've done that, and probably will continue to do that from time to time. But yeah, I'm a little different location.
So Joe's appreciating the visits, I guess.
Yes, yeah, that's right. That's right. Joe's probably tired of seeing me walk in, because I always think of something I need to tell him to do when I walk in.
So have y'all put a mat down in the conference room yet?
No, there'll be no mats going down. We're both too old to renew any kind of rivalries that we may have had in years past. But so no, that will not be happening.
Sounds good.
That's
Mark Reeves of the TSSAA joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mark, man, we appreciate your time and we'll catch up.
Hey, thanks, Maurice. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate what you guys do, man. Thanks for having me.
Man, that was fantastic. A lot of great information there. TSSAA, again, we say it all the time. They get a lot of grief, sometimes deserved, sometimes not. And so anytime we can hear straight from the horse's mouth is a good thing, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think any opportunity that we have to do that, and I think we're fortunate in that we have the opportunity. We have had the opportunity to go straight to the horse's mouth with Bernard Childress during his tenure as executive director, and I expect that to continue to be the case, as just witnessed by Mark Reeves, and he's a wrestling guy, so that's always good.
We do like that. When we come back, got a little reaction to get to. It's Reaction Monday right here on Main Street Sports Today. So when we get there, it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be right back after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. Chris Yao alongside Mo Patton. Glad to be with you. Mo, it was a rough night for some of us out on Friday because there were about 6 pockets of rain, and I got caught in probably the worst possible pocket, but luckily we were able to get the game going without any rain the rest of the night down in Lewisburg. But boy, outside of that, fantastic start to the high school football season.
Well, I missed the rain, fortunately, so I guess that means I'll get it later in the season. But, you know, what's football without getting rained on at some point? I guess maybe you got it out the way Friday night.
This is possible, sure.
Yeah. You, as you mentioned, you were at Lewisburg for Columbia Central and Marshall County. 41-20 Marshall County, the final in that one. Bit unexpected.
Well, you know, the 20
that's not to cast any aspersion on Marshall County. I just did not think Columbia Central would give up 41.
Well, I thought they'd give up 38. And a lot of folks gave me grief for that, by the way. They said 42-38. Were you crazy? And I thought, no. But you know, clearly.
Well, do you feel better now?
Well, I feel a little bit vindicated, but I certainly didn't expect Columbia Central to be held to just 20 points. Now, I also didn't expect them to. Did you see that?
What?
I
No.
pulled my headphones right out of my ear. That was crazy. I didn't expect them to have a turnover inside the 3-yard line, have a snap go over the punter's head. I think they just mistake after mistake after mistake. So Columbia Central had a rough night. But look, Marshall County's a good football team.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of great running backs in that one. Damari Braden from Marshall County, Caden McCoy from Columbia Central. It really was a showcase for those two guys all night long, and I got a chance to hang out on the sideline with Oakland coach Kevin Creasy, so that was kind of cool. But yeah, it was a good ball game. I mean, up until right at the end of the third quarter, Columbia Central was at the 3-yard line with a chance to tie the ball game. And everything just kind of flipped from there.
And that's tough. And it's tough when you get a 228-yard rushing effort out of your sophomore running back, Caden McCoy, 3 touchdowns, and followed by 3 touchdowns. So I'm interested to see how Columbia Central and Coach Bobby Sharp go back to. They've got Dixon County on Thursday night this week.
That they do. Dixon County at 13-7 lost to cross-county rival Creekwood, I knew what was coming, and I had to slow down to say cross-county Creekwood. But that one was in overtime. Seemed like a really good ball game. There were some great games across the mid-state, and obviously, I was talk about surprises. I was a bit surprised by the score down in Summertown that you were at.
I think a lot of people were surprised at that. I had a chance to talk to Lane Henson a little bit before the game, the principal at Summertown, and the one thing he said was, just don't know how these young guys are going to respond. Well, I don't think he expected to be as right as he was, but 50-7 Lawrence County. And again, Lawrence County's got a pretty good ball club. Now they've got some experience, they've got some speed, they've got some guys in the run game that can really hurt you. I'm intrigued by where they go next. They've got Loretto this coming weekend, and Loretto won a pretty good ball game in their opener as well. But obviously Summertown's got some growing up to do, and they've got to do it pretty quickly here because the region that they're in looked pretty good this past week.
Yeah, no question. You mentioned this in the rundown, Mo. Siegel 13, Green Hill 6. That was a pretty big surprise for me.
I don't think that was expected. Green Hill coming off the year they were coming off of, and Siegel. But that's a Green Hill team that really accomplished a lot in their first season last year, and they've got a lot of eyes on them. And as we've talked before, Class 5A so unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen over there. So the Hawks of Green Hill could, they could bounce back and heck, run off 9 straight here. Who knows? But that one, I don't think that outcome was expected by very many folks at all.
Same goes for Farragut, 31, Beach 28. I mean, obviously Farragut is a good football team, but you just, you've come to expect Beach to win those type football games.
And I think it probably speaks more to Farragut than it does to Beach. I mean, Beach, 3-hour plus bus ride over to Farragut, pretty good ball club when you get there. I don't think that loss is going to keep Beach from accomplishing what you expect out of a typical Beach Buccaneer football team when it's all said and done. And it might just be a situation where they go back and coach off of that and get better from here forward. So,
sure. And finally, my biggest surprise of the weekend, not the outcome, but the disparity in the score. NBA 46, Ravenwood 20. Didn't see that one.
I didn't really see that coming either. I mean, I think I even said as much as we were going through our picks. I did not I wasn't surprised, like you said, at NBA winning the ball game, but I would not have expected that. It was 56-28 last year, and I think I said it won't be 56-28 this year. Well, no, it wasn't. But it was 46-20. I mean, it was still what? 26 points, not 28. So there's that. But, yeah. But again, I think that's probably more indicative of what NBA is about than it is what Ravenwood is about. Will Hester's going to coach off of that and have those guys ready, particularly when they get into Region 7 6A play. I still think they're probably the best team in that region.
I think that is a region that is a little less up for grabs, is the best way to put it, after the performance we saw from Summit. Now, I just don't know. I don't know anything about Henry County. Henry County could be as good as they were 2 years ago. I just don't know. But Summit certainly didn't seem to be as dynamic as they have been, obviously, now without the weights.
Yeah, well, they weren't as dynamic, but don't sleep on Brentwood. As I think I said heading into their matchup with Blackman that they won 23-14. I think that another year under Clint Finch is really going to make a difference with the Bruins this time around.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see who else, because I mean, obviously Brentwood, Ravenwood, Summit have kind of been right there grasping for that top spot over the last couple of years. But I think Independence showed some flashes against CPA, and I'm curious to see what Centennial's going to do. I mean, Centennial has an opportunity to play a spoiler for some folks and potentially find themselves in a playoff spot now.
Hey, Franklin with a 14-10 lost to Riverdale as well.
Exactly. I mean, Franklin was right there.
Now, I don't know how, again, to your point, I don't know how good Riverdale is this time around, but Franklin playing them to less than a touchdown, I think kind of speaks well of the improvements that Alex Melton has been able to make over there in his second year. So
I think you're right on it. Absolutely. I also think we need to take a break and talk a little bit of Braves on the second half. What do you think?
That'll work.
Let's do it. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, it'll be Atlanta Braves baseball chatter right here, as we do each and every week, or each and every day. So
this is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor-trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor-trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor-trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Hi, this is Melissa Hoisington, Regional Crisis Director from Volunteer Behavioral Health. Disasters can affect everything in your life, including your emotional health. Help is available during these uncertain times. The Tennessee Recovery Project is a free, supportive resource for adults and children who have experienced the effects of natural or human-caused disasters. Specialists are available for counseling by phone or in person. For free, confidential service, please call 833-954-2424. The hotline is open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Move forward with the help from the Tennessee Recovery Project.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in to Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao alongside Mo Patton. It is the second half of this Reaction Monday, and boy, we've got some great stuff to react to. We've already reacted to high school football. Mo, at the Titans preseason game this weekend, so we'll talk a little bit about that. Obviously, we're about to get into the Atlanta Braves here, and that's always exciting. We also get a chance to preview the Florida Gators here in just a few minutes, as we'll talk to Alan Taylor of The Athletic. So plenty to get into, but right now, Mo, we talk a little bit about the surging Atlanta Braves.
Sorry. Before we talk about the Atlanta Braves, I want to mention real quick, and we did not mention it in the rundown, Nolensville was slated to start at 2:00 in the Little League World Series against Hagerstown, Indiana. That game is in a rain delay. So if we get them started before we get off the air, we'll let you know what their status is. So they are 2-0 after going 2-out last year. So certainly worth keeping an eye on there. So But
no question with that big win over Utah on Friday.
yeah, that was huge. Braves, like you said, Chris, big weekend. Finished up a 5-2 homestand that could have been 6-1. You would feel pretty good about 5-2, except I think, what did they wind up picking up? A game and a half, maybe, on the Mets?
Did they? Were they able to pick up a game? I thought the Mets won too.
I don't know.
Over the homestand.
Yeah. Over the course of the homestand.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it was. They were 5.5,
and they are now 4. So yeah, picked up a game and a half on the homestand. Could have gotten more, but weren't able to finish off the sweep against Houston yesterday. Scored 2 early and scored 2 late, and the Astros scored 5 in between. Meanwhile, the Mets rallied from a big deficit against the Phillies to win that one 10-9. So thanks for nothing, Phillies. But,
yeah, they hurt. They hurt us in the division race, but helped us in the wild card situation. So there's that. It's tough when you are the Atlanta Braves. We're sitting here with 75-48 record, and you're going to be a wild card team when you have the 4th or 5th best record in the major leagues.
The Braves are one of 5 teams with 70+ wins, I believe, and one of the other 4 is in their division. So it's
exactly. So they're, you've got now the Mets play the Yankees, and it is at Yankee Stadium this time. So that can make a difference. But the Mets took both of the games against the Yankees the last time they played them at Citi Field. So, I mean, you don't feel great about it. But, I mean, it is what it is. You got to play. You've got to win your games. And the Braves had a chance to do that on Sunday. Look, Dylan Lee's been great. I'm not upset about going to Dylan Lee to try to get through the 8th inning. He's been pretty good. I just don't understand why, even in a tie game, you're not going to Iglesias there. I don't understand why it appears Brian Snitker has no confidence in his offense to score a run.
I don't understand a lot of the moves that Brian Snitker makes, and so I just try to roll with it, man, because otherwise I get really irritated.
Well, and that's the question there. Why are you mad? Well, I'm mad because this team is built to win games late, because it doesn't matter what part of the lineup you're in. This team is good. They're going to get hits. They're going to score runs. And they scored. And guess what? They scored runs in the bottom of the 9th, Mo.
There you go. Yep. Yeah, that run that they gave up, in the top of the 8th, top of the 9th?
Top of the 9th, Jackson Stevens.
Yeah. He's been pretty good for that.
I mean, look, I get it. At that point, you're down 4-2. You've got to go to the Pirates, and I mean, sure, whatever. But I still don't understand not
it
going.
It just feels like there are some other arms besides Jackson's or so. Not so much the 8th and 9th.
You'll have to honestly, you cut out there for me because
I
have no idea what you just asked me.
I was just talking about Dylan Lee in the 7th versus Dylan Lee later.
Yeah, he got a mentor in the 7th. Yeah, I'm not sure why you got a mentor in the 7th instead of the 8th if you're not planning on using Iglesias in the 8th.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It's just kind of tough to watch. sometimes. So
hopefully, though, they can go to Pittsburgh and do what they've been doing against teams like Pittsburgh. I mean, we saw that against Boston. We saw that against Miami on the last road trip. You know, it would be good if they can just go up there and sweep them and then get the day off before they go to St. Louis for 3 over the weekend, which is playing pretty well here right now.
I was going to say St. Louis, pretty good baseball team right now. And I didn't expect to say that, you know, in April and May.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think they were that good. And
I didn't think they were that good, and I certainly didn't think Albert Pujols was going to be the impact player that he has been here over the last little bit. You know, we were talking in the press box at Nissan Stadium on Saturday after his second 2-home-run game in a few days. I don't know if it was back-to-back because I don't really keep up that much with the Cardinals, but
easily.
Yeah. You just cut out on me, so
it was within a week, easily.
Yeah. So I mean, suddenly he's sitting at, 692 home runs, and the question was, if he gets close to 700, does he come back or does he go on home like he said he's going to? And there was an article over the weekend that said he's still planning to retire at the end of the year. So,
man, if you're at 699 though.
But my scenario was if he's at 698 or something like that, and he comes back and it takes him 2-3 months. I mean, how bad is that?
Yeah, which is worse.
Yeah,
I just Bernie Mac, baby, Mr. 3000.
Oh, God. yeah, and you see how that worked out. But yeah, that's tough, and that's a tough. I think that is a worst case scenario, not just for Pujols, but for the Cardinals as well. Really?
Yeah, because you can't afford to have him in the lineup for a long time if that's what it takes. Now, then again, who knows? I don't know.
I think the ideal thing would be for him to hit 8 more home runs before the season's over.
Just hit 8 more, please. Goodness gracious, please hit 8 more. Drew Waters 0 for 2 right now in Kansas City, but congrats to him for making it up.
Yeah, I mean that's a good thing, and you want to see everybody succeed, and there just wasn't room for him at the major league level here, and he wasn't playing like a guy that needed to be up here, to be honest.
Well, and that's exactly what I tweeted out earlier. I think he kind of realized where he was in the pecking order. And then when Michael Harris jumped from AA, it just made it even worse. And he thought, I'm never going to play up there. I'm never going to get a chance to play at the big league level for the Atlanta Braves. And he probably got a little down on himself. So when he went to an organization like the Royals and he had an opportunity, he almost hit 300 at AAA for the Royals, had 13 stolen bases and 8 home runs. He only had 5 home runs the entire season for the Gwinnett Braves.
Gwinnett Stripers, 1P.
Those two.
Yeah, but I think the one thing that I think the cautionary tale that comes out of this for anybody else who may feel like they're stuck in a situation in the minor leagues is you're not just playing for one team.
That's true.
I mean, you still got to go out and produce numbers, and maybe somebody sees you and sees what you can do, even if it's not your parent club. So,
right, because you want to be as valuable as you can for the club that you play in, whether that means at the major league level or as a trade piece.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So good for him. I mean, it's good that he's getting up, and hopefully he does well up there. But I kind of like the guy we've got in center field right now. And so does Alex Anthopoulos.
I like all the guys we got in the outfield most of the time. That's all I'm going to say. Mo,
speaking of,
why don't we go take a trip back in time?
Well, before we do that, we've got Grossman, Harris, and Acuna in the outfield tonight against the Pirates.
I like that. This is good.
Okay. Yeah. So
the way Grossman's been hitting for Atlanta, loving it.
Yeah. Grossman of the Braves.
That's better than the other one. Oh, let's take a trip back in time and tell us what happened this day in Braves history.
Oh, hang on. There we go. August 22nd, 2010, scoring in 6 of their 9 at-bats, the Atlanta Braves won 16-5 at Wrigley Field. Mike Minor struck out 12 in 6 innings to pick up the victory, and Omar Infante and future Cub Jason Hayward each had 4 hits, 4 runs, and 4 RBIs at the top of the order. That's not necessarily what's noteworthy about this game, though. It was the final game of Lou Piniella's 23-year managerial career, as he finished with a record of 1,835 wins, 1,712 losses, and a pair of World Series championships with the Yankees, Reds, Mariners, Devil Rays, and Cubs.
There you have it. That is this day in Braves history. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll talk to G. Allen Taylor about the Florida Gators. Stick around. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Back after this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in to Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton, and Chris Yao on the controls today. So, it is what it is. It's Monday. We're glad to have you guys with us. Appreciate you guys hanging out as we continue our coverage of high school sports, college sports, professional sports, from preps to pros. We've got you covered. And today we continue our previews of the Southeastern Conference, and we go down south to the Swamp, where we bring in G. Allen Taylor of The Athletic to talk a little bit about the Florida Gators. Thanks for joining us, man.
You bet. Hey, if you guys want to keep with the Atlanta Braves theme, man, I broke down and bought the MLB ticket this year, so I don't have to watch Tampa Bay Rays games down here. I can actually watch the Braves. And my wife, who has never cared about baseball in her life, got on board with the playoff run last year. And now she's actually recognizing role players for the Braves, and she loves the Heredia swords in the dugouts and things like that.
That's the best part.
We love the Heradiosaurs as well. That's outstanding. Yeah. And hey, jump on. Come on. Plenty of room. Glad to have you. So, not a whole lot of bandwagon flags with the fans with the Gators. I mean, you're either dyed in the wool or very polarizing program.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I sort of had that perception when I moved down here 2-3 years ago, having seen them from afar when I was in Chattanooga, and it's a well-deserved label. There's a lot of people who want to get back to 06 and 08 and expect it to happen overnight, and that's not just football. That's basketball too.
Had a lot of success through that run, and it's funny how cyclical things seem to be in this conference, and everybody kind of cycles maybe down a little bit, even teams that you don't be seeing out of Napier as far as that goes.
Well, he's got a plan to sort of do it from the top down as far as recruiting, staffing, organizational stuff that was maybe lacking under Mullen. And, we forget that just 2 years ago, Mullen had Florida in the SEC championship game, a one-possession game against Alabama, and obviously they played Bama tough in the Swamp last year. So, they're not building from scratch here, but the roster's just not as good even as it was last year. I think there's a definite cultural reset that's going on, and sometimes that takes a year. But generally, the fan base is pretty happy with the moves Napier has made because he's addressed problems that players were sort of airing publicly, and I think that's a good way to ingratiate yourself not only to your team but also to the fan base by showing up and fixing those problems. They opened up a new $85 million facility here on a week ago Sunday that shouldn't hurt recruiting, right? Sort of playing catch up in that regard, but it's a beautiful, functional facility with a lot of bells and whistles and a lot of functionality to it. And, things are looking up. I'm just not sure that year one is going to bring the kind of results that an impatient fan base wants.
And they're all impatient.
You go back to Saban. 7-6 his first year at Bama with a loss to La Monroe. So Saban may have done every coach in America a favor with that season, right? Because you can always, even if there's no connection at all, you can always say, "Hey, Nick Saban lost to La Monroe."
There you go. Allan, the question that Chris and I have kind of thrown up as you consider Florida football this season, year one with Billy Napier, is how good is Anthony Richardson?
Well, even Napier doesn't want to wade into those waters. He pointed out yesterday for about the 10th time that Richardson has completed 33 passes in his career. But then yesterday, Napier added a caveat. He goes, really good quarterbacks at the University of Florida tend to complete 33 passes in one game. So let's not put a crown on him yet. And what I think you're seeing here is just an awesome physical skill set. The comparisons physically to Cam Newton aren't ridiculous, but from productivity, from wins, from what he can do on the field as a starter, obviously there is no comparison in that respect. The guy is a blazer. He has a ridiculous arm. And the new staff, when they came in December and sort of coincided with the old staff for a month, was just blown away at what he can do physically. But that's got to translate, right? And you got to find an offense that fits him. And I think you've got to be able to not try to insulate him. You got to run. And he might need to carry the ball 10 or 15 times, which opens him up to extra hits and the proclivity for injuries. But that's part of his threat, man. And I think they're going to, let him loose because he's not at a stage of his development where he's just going to beat you standing in the pocket, even though he's got, really plus arm strength. But the pressure he puts on a defense scrambling and with design runs is really up there.
And without Emory Jones behind him now, does that one make he maybe doesn't have to look over his shoulder, but two, it means that he's got to stay healthy because, there's not a guy with much experience behind him.
Yeah, they went out when they were still trying to keep Emory in December. They went out and acquired. Which is what they did. Jack Miller from Ohio State. I mean, that's flat out what it was. And they talked Emory into staying for a while, and he gave spring practice a couple weeks before I think the Arizona State position opened up for him, and so he left. Well, now Miller has suffered a thumb fracture that at a minimum will probably keep him out the first 2 games of the regular season. So your backup quarterbacks as of now are Jalen Kitna, the son of John Kitna, who you guys are all familiar with, a redshirt freshman who's never thrown a college pass, and a walk-on, Kyle Engel. The true freshman scholarship quarterback really isn't in the running at this point. So even as important as it was for Anthony Richardson to stay healthy long-term, in the short term, it's even more imperative because there's really not a game-ready quarterback behind him.
And that's tough in particular as we speak with Alan Taylor of The Athletic here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. It's particularly important when you look at the September schedule for Florida. Their season could conceivably be done before they get to October, considering you open got South Florida in between there, but it's not out of the realm that Florida's 1-3 after they get done with UT.
Yeah, the question that's been floated repeatedly during the offseason is what happens if they start 0-2, with Utah coming in as a top 10 team, and then Kentucky no longer sort of unable to get out of their own way against Florida. They had that 3-decade losing streak, and now Kentucky won 2 out of the last 4. So all those are possibilities. And I actually picked Florida, I think, 3rd in the SEC East behind Georgia and Tennessee, and that game being in Knoxville was sort of the differentiation for me as far as who would be the second best team in there. I'm not a big believer in Kentucky because I think Will Levis threw just as many interceptions as Emory Jones did last year, even though I think Stoops has done a wonderful job. So, the chances of them, getting out of September undefeated, I think is minimal. But like you say, it might be about being 2-2 or 3-1 and just keeping some momentum going into the middle stretch of that season when of course you've got LSU and Georgia there as well, along with a trip to Texas A&M. We're going to learn a lot about the Gators right up front. I like these situations where you play a good team in week 1 for what it does to your offseason preparation. But you pay for it in week 2 because Kentucky's playing a MAC team in week 1. Should handle their business there, and then they're going to come in healthy and no doubt a little more prepared for Florida in week 2 than say Florida would be for Kentucky, considering you've got Utah. So that's sort of the fence part of that. Right now, it looks like Napier's doing a lot of what he did at Louisiana. So for scouting purposes, Utah may not be at such a disadvantage. Certainly Kentucky will have had that first game against Utah with Florida to sort of see what Napier has in store. So that'll, theoretically give the Cats another advantage going into week 2.
One of the things that I think is imperative for this Florida team is the run game. And, Montrell Johnson is kind of the guy. And Billy Napier has an affinity for pounding one back. He doesn't really like to do running back by committee. So does that make Montrell Johnson maybe just as important as Anthony Richardson?
Yeah, you have to view Richardson as essentially another running back in some of those schemes because it gives you that extra man blocking advantage up front. Montrell's an interesting cat because he came out of high school in Louisiana, really wasn't wanted by any of the big programs. So he spent that year at Louisiana Lafayette, wound up eclipsing 800 yards. And when Napier got the job here at Florida, one of the first texts he sent was a picture of a Florida hoodie sweatshirt to Montreal and said, I've got one for you. And so, Montreal made the move over here. And so he's still trying to prove that he's an SEC caliber back. And I think he is. They've also got Naquan Wright, who's really a slippery sort of jack of all trades running back, really good catching the ball out of the backfield and in space. But he's coming off a fractured ankle that kept him out of spring. He looks good now, but certainly that injury history is something to keep up with. And then a guy you can't overlook is a freshman, Trevor Etienne, whose brother is fairly famous. They've got an Etienne down here, so they're trying to play the legacy card pretty strong. But I think you're right in that Florida's going to try to pound the ball, shorten the game, play complementary football, and not try to survive 42-45.
Now, Allen, clear this up for me. When Napier sent Allen,
I'm sorry, you cut out.
No. Was Johnson transferring when Napier sent this text?
Yeah, he had jumped in the portal.
Okay.
Right after their either their Sun Belt championship game or the bowl game, and so that was I know you gotta enjoy all these tampering charges that are going on. Florida is very careful, even down to their assistants, to say, because they have an actual portal scouting staff that Napier has assembled, and they're very careful to say that the minute a guy gets in the portal, you got to have a plan to reach out to him, but not before he gets in the portal. They always throw that caveat on there.
I would imagine that's pretty much at every college football program now. You've got a transfer portal scout, like you said. That's really a big change these days, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of information available on these guys. They've had the scab sort of ripped off as far as moving away from home and understanding that the niceties of the recruiting process are gone once you report as a freshman and you get yelled at a lot. So I think that they like these guys who've had a year or two of college football and understand, truly what a business and what a time commitment it is.
Allen, real quick, I want to look at the schedule. We talked about it briefly, but obviously Utah and Florida State. Then you've got Tennessee, LSU, Georgia, and Texas A&M. No Alabama, obviously, no Ole Miss or Arkansas, but this is a tough schedule. A lot of folks got the Gators set at 8.5 wins. That, to me, that seems a little high. I don't know. What is the feeling down there? Is that expected, or is that a little lofty on the expectations?
Yeah, I'd seen it at 7 and 7.5, and I sometimes I have trouble getting there. I think the floor, if things go bad, is probably 5 and 7. More realistic is 6 and 6 or 7 and 5, and 8 wins to me would probably be the ceiling. The last 2 scrimmages haven't really gone well for the offense. I don't think they have a lot of playmakers on the outside, and you just don't have that margin. Those guys that can take an average sort of team-wide effort and get you over the edge. I think they're really going to have to play really well and have a lot of buy-in almost every week to win some of these swing games. The positive is that Missouri, South Carolina, and Kentucky, 3 teams I actually lost to last year, are all coming to the Swamp. So that's one of the quote-unquote revenge tours that you never would expect at Florida, right? To have to make up losses to those 3 teams, but they get them at home this year. And what's a game you pointed out, it's going to be a Black Friday game. It used to be FSU was the first thing you talked about on that Florida schedule, and they've been so down for such an extended period of time that game doesn't get a lot of hype these days. I'm looking forward to that rivalry getting back again, but they've got to go to Tallahassee for that one. That was the game last year. Both programs needed to get to a bowl game, and Florida eked out a win in the Swamp. So that one should be competitive as well. Anybody that thinks this team could win 10 games, I mean, stranger things have happened, but man, I just don't see the calculus on how you can get there.
There you go. G. Allen Taylor, thanks for taking some time with us at G. Allen Taylor on Twitter. Appreciate it. and looking forward to college football, man. It's the week of. Week 0 is here.
It is, man. I told my wife I'll see you around Christmas, and we'll make it work then.
Best we can. Thanks, man. We appreciate your time. Have a good one.
You too. Y'all take care, man.
Well, there you have it, Mo. Not exactly lofty expectations in the land of the Gators.
Well, I'm not sure they should be.
Oh, absolutely not. You never know that. Never.
I mean, 8.5.
That's what.
Looking at that schedule, I pretty well agree with Allen. I don't see the calculus as he put it. I mean, certainly USF, Eastern Washington, Missouri, South Carolina, Vandy, Florida State. Okay, there's 6. Then what?
You got to figure Kentucky, Tennessee. Of course, they've not had any trouble beating Tennessee in the last few years. So.
Yeah, I think that's getting ready to change on September 24th. So,
well,
it'll be interesting.
I hope you're right.
They'll certainly bear keeping an eye on. But yeah, I think 3rd is about right for them. Really, where were they picked in the
4th? I
SEC
believe.
Media Days 4th. I typically have that called up when we do this. Yeah. I mean, Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee, and then Florida was the pick of the SEC media. So, and pretty decisive between 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, I was about to say the gap is pretty large. So
yeah.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, final things of the day. Talk a little bit about the Titans, a little bit about Brute McCoy. Some craziness going on there. So stick around. A lot more to come here on Main Street Sports today. So stick around. We'll be right back after these messages.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Final segment of the day, Mo. We got a lot to talk about, and we want to pack it in as much as we can. So let's get into it. First, we'll talk a little bit about what we saw on Saturday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the Tennessee Titans finished their second preseason game with a win over the Bucs. Obviously, the story of the day was Malik Willis getting the majority of those plays and snaps, and Treylon Burks not being a big part of the offense.
Well, in the aftermath of that 13-3 game against Tampa Bay on Saturday night, Mike Vrabel has said that, we're not trying to force the ball to any particular individual here in the preseason in particular. And so, Treylon's got to get some separation, and Malik's got to be able to find him when he does. And, he caught one ball. He was targeted on another ball from Logan Woodside that wound up getting intercepted in the second half. But I think the key is,
can we throw touchdown? Can we throw it to him across the middle though when he is wide open? I'm just saying, especially in the red zone.
Again, that comes down to reads and making the throw. And you've got a quarterback who is still progressing. So, but the receivers, as Vrabel pointed out, receivers can't control when they get the ball.
That's correct.
So,
I did see something, and I don't know because I'm not, I haven't watched much, but someone mentioned that maybe Malik Willis is focusing on the big play, and perhaps that's one reason that he didn't make that throw to Robert Woods 2 weeks ago, and then didn't make the throw to Traylon Burks across the middle this week when both were easily wide open. I wonder how much of that is true, and it very well could be, because when you're playing at Liberty with the talent level they had versus the teams they were playing, the big plays were there. And that's just going to come with time being in the NFL and practicing against professional football players.
And there's a lot to that, and I think people are going to have to realize that, this time last year, Malik Willis was in Lynchburg, Virginia. I just think that there's a growing process, and also he was the third round pick. He's not quite as polished maybe as some of the other quarterbacks that came out even in this draft, but he's got some growing to do. He's got some progressing to make, and he's not going to be the number one in the season opener. So he's got some time to grasp some of this stuff, I think. And maybe Burks's lack of production is a byproduct of Willis being in there instead of Tannehill. Who knows? But he's got some stuff he's got to do as well.
It does certainly seem that Burks and Tannehill have some sort of camaraderie. They are seen talking to one another quite a bit. That they run together with the ones in the practice. So I'm hopeful that is the case. I'm hopeful that he does find his footing once 17's in the game.
And I think that'll be the case. And again, that's not necessarily a knock on 7. It's just
sure
he's trying to figure some things out. He's trying to figure out how to stay in the pocket and make plays instead of, one read and go, that kind of thing. He's got some growing up to do, but there's a lot of upside there as well. And when he gets there, I think he's going to take some of those receivers with him. So give him some time.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question he's got the talent. It's just a matter of getting him acclimated to the professional football game.
That's it.
And that's it. And that's really every quarterback. You should never expect a rookie quarterback to be able to just step in and be a superstar. There are some who can, but those are few and far between. So, Mo, before we get out of here, I did want to mention this. Hooters and Vanderbilt offensive linemen.
That's not an NIL deal I would have envisioned, that I would have anticipated. But hey, who doesn't like wings, right?
Who doesn't like hot wings?
Boom.
Everyone. Congrats to linemen for getting a deal done.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
Congrats to them.
So I guess we could talk about Brew McCoy tomorrow. We could talk about the AP All-American team tomorrow. We got a lot we can get to. We also have a couple of great guests, Chip Walters. And where do we go in the SEC, Mo?
Oh, goodness. I forgot, man. Is it Kentucky tomorrow?
Oh, hang on. I have it right here. It is.
It is Kentucky tomorrow.
John Clay
of the Lexington Herald Leader to talk a little Kentucky. We'll see what the Twins are up to, maybe.
There you go. Well, we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. This is Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao and Mo Patton saying goodbye. We'll see you tomorrow.